Hello, and welcome to the bookshelf. Thank you for joining me this evening. Now sit back, relax, and let's get into our story. I signed the lease for apartment 303 without even seeing it in person. The photos looked fine, grainy, but fine, and the price was suspiciously low for a place in the city. Still, I wasn't in a position to be picky. I'd just gone through a messy breakup, lost my job, and was nursing a mild drinking problem with all the subtlety of a blunt axe. A new place was supposed to be a restart. I moved in on Wednesday, March 1st. The building was one of those aging red brick complexes wedged between a liquor store and a laundromat that never seemed to be open. It smelled faintly of damp concrete, like a long-forgotten basement. The elevator didn't work, so I lugged my boxes up 3 flights of groaning stairs. By the time I got the key into the door of 303, I was dripping sweat despite the cold. The apartment was smaller than I expected. The walls were sickly off-white and stained in places I tried not to think about. But it was mine. For $800 a month, with utilities included, it felt like I'd scammed the system. Until I saw the hallway. There was a short, narrow corridor that led from the living room to the bathroom and bedroom. On the left was the bathroom. On the right, my bedroom. But halfway between them, right where the hallway slightly narrowed, was a third door. Except it wasn't a door. It was a smooth white panel. No knob, no hinges, no trim. Just a perfectly rectangular slab of wall, recessed slightly, like someone had sealed something up and painted over it with indifference. I touched it. It was cold, almost wet. I told myself it was just a sealed up closet, probably hiding bad wiring or mold. Every building had quirks, right? That night, I unpacked the essentials, cracked open a beer, and fell asleep on the couch watching reruns of Unsolved Mysteries. I woke up at 3:12 a.m. The clock on the stove blinked it at me, 3:12. What woke me wasn't clear at first. The apartment was silent. No traffic, no sirens, not even the usual upstairs footsteps. But then, as I sat up and held my breath, I heard it. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Not on the front door, not on the wall. From the hallway, from the third door. I stared into the dark corridor. My eyes adjusted. The door, panel, whatever it was, just sat there, still, innocent. I went back to sleep, rationalizing it as old pipes or a settling building. But it happened again the next night, 3:12 a.m. And the night after that. By the 5th night, I was sleeping with the lights on. I asked the landlord about it. That old thing, he said when I pointed it out. Used to be a closet, I think. Maintenance sealed it up before my time. Could have been mold, could have been asbestos. I don't know. Why not just remove it, I asked. He shrugged. No one's complained before. That was a lie. I could see it in his eyes. The momentary tension, the way he didn't quite meet my gaze. I dropped it. But that night, I stayed awake, sitting on the floor across from the third door, with a flashlight in one hand and a hammer in the other. 3:12 a.m. The tapping came again, exactly the same rhythm. I knocked back this time, just once. Nothing happened. Until the next night, when the tapping came again, louder. And this time, after the third knock, there was a voice, a whisper. Let me out. I ripped off the drywall the next day. Behind it was a door, real and rotting. A thick, heavy wooden door with peeling white paint and a warped surface that smelled of mildew and earth. No knob, just a keyhole in the center, ringed in rust. I pressed my ear to it. Silence. Then, breathing. Shallow, steady breathing. Close, right on the other side. I stumbled backward and left the apartment for the first time in days. Over the next week, I unraveled. The tapping returned every night at 3:12. Sometimes it was just 3 knocks. Sometimes I'd heard soft scratching afterward. Sometimes it whispered things in a voice too much like my own. You remember, don't you? You locked me in. You were supposed to forget. I started dreaming of the door. In every dream, I was holding a key. My hands trembled as I approached it, but I was never able to stop myself. The key would slip into the lock, and just before I turned it, I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart hammering. One night, I gave in. I looked through the keyhole. For a split second, I saw an eye staring back. Bloodshot, yellow, too wide, too familiar. It blinked, slowly, and then it smiled. I fell backwards, choking on my own breath. That was the night the door spoke in full sentences. I'm still here. You buried me. But you need me, don't you? You always did. I tried to leave. I packed a bag, grabbed my keys, and stormed to the front door. But it wouldn't open. The lock turned, but the door wouldn't budge. The knob spun in my palm like it wasn't connected to anything. Windows wouldn't open either. My phone had no service. My laptop crashed and refused to boot. The apartment had become a container, a sealed box with me and the thing I buried. And it was getting stronger. The walls pulsed. The doors started weeping a black liquid that smelled like rot and rust. The last night, I don't know what day it was, I heard not 3 knocks, but one long, dragging scratch, like claws across wood, then a whisper directly in my ear. You don't need the key. You never did. And the door creaked open, just a crack. Inside, there was darkness and movement and something that looked like me, but older, wrong, peeled, like the idea of me made by someone who'd never met me, but wanted to wear me anyway. It stepped forward. I ran. This is where the story should end, with me escaping, or burning the place down, or banishing the thing with a ritual I found on the internet. But none of that happened, because I'm still here. I don't know how much longer I've got. The thing behind the door talks to me constantly now. It sounds like my childhood self, like my mother, like my worst memories. It says it's hungry. It says I taste like regret. And I think tonight I might open the door all the way, because I need the silence. Because maybe it is me, and maybe it deserves to get out. Postscript. This manuscript was found in apartment 303 on March 25th. The unit was abandoned. The door to the hallway closet had been ripped open. Police found no signs of forced entry, but claw marks were discovered on the inside walls. Apartment remains vacant. Tenants report tapping sounds continue nightly at 3:12 a.m.